Welcome to topic 3402. Emergency Shelter Design for Eco-Resilience. Planning Tools and Practices EPD-Net. Filling the Gap. Ecological Planning and Design Learning Network and Adaptive Smart Training Module for Disaster Resilient and Sustainable Cities. We will see the topics of learning objectives, key concepts, planning tools and methods, material and system selection, community-based approaches and summary and takeaways in the content of the topic in order. Learning objectives of this topic are applying eco-resilient shelter principles in planning workflows, understanding tools and methods for site analysis, design, and monitoring, and linking shelter planning to policy, procurement, and community participation. The subjects that we will discuss under the key concepts are as follows. Firstly, we will examine the tools and methods for planning emergency shelter, such as analyzing and searching on construction site, using digital design tools and calculating with thermal and energy modeling programs. Secondly, we will discuss to focus on selecting suitable materials and systems, such as use rapid LCA tools, GIS for sourcing local, regional materials and lead user building green. And lastly, we will discuss about the importance of participatory design for post-disaster recovery. In planning tools and methods, beginning of the design process, we should make site analysis in disaster area and emergency shelter construction site. We must search about slope, topography, disaster risk, flood, earthquake, etc., disaster recurrence period, disaster impact zone, access, exposure by using GIS, drones and local knowledges in analysis not to make mistakes in the later stages of the process. In design and planning processes, we can use digital design tools for drawing and evaluating the proposed design to design a new modular system or to use existing modular system. We could use design tools such as SketchUp, Rhino, Revit for creating the modular units. These digital design tools offer the possibility of designing in 2D and 3D, simplifying material selection, resolving details of the structure including heat and water insulation, and calculating costs. For designing eco-friendly emergency shelter units, you must calculate and evaluate the energy efficiency rates of walls, roof, structure or modules of each shelter unit. You can use thermal and energy modeling programs such as Design Builder or EPD-Net. These thermal and energy modeling programs can help you to spend more time designing and less time modeling. An easy-to-use interface to accurately quantify performance in the fastest available workflow. In selection of materials and systems, we can search on manuals or catalogs, but it will be much more easier to choose by using digital tools such as Rapid LCA tools, One-Click LCA, Athena. By using One-Click LCA, architects can use life cycle assessments to measure and reduce carbon, achieve certifications, and meet increasing demand for sustainable design. Geographic Information System, GIS, is the mapping and data analysis technology that's powering planning and engineering decisions, supporting management and transportation operations as well as the natural sciences such as forestry and ecology. For this reason, GIS and location intelligence applications are at the foundation of location-enabled services, which rely on geographic analysis and visualization. So, we can use Geographic Information System GIS for sourcing local, regional materials. But also, we could search about locally sourced materials from lead user building green. We could search local, regional material on material manuals or catalogs. You can use standard emergency shelter projects, but it's important to remember that using shelters units that have not eco-friendly designs for the disaster area will cause problems in the long term. You must develop or use the emergency shelter cluster toolkits for standard layouts and climate topologies. Volunteers in construction and users of the shelter units are local. Because of that, you should solve the details in design to be easily understand and fix according to their skills. So, you must determine the details of the modular unit's joint points according to local preferences and climatical conditions. You must determine in advance the materials to be used in the construction of emergency shelters, and organize the production and transferring process with the manufacturers. If the materials to be used are decided in advance, precautions can be taken against possible price increases after a disaster. This allows for pre-orders to be placed with local or foreign producers, thus preventing costs from rising. According to community-based approaches, participation of survivors, local communities, local authority, NGOs ensure the adaptation to live in new shelters. We have to make participatory mapping and rapid needs assessments. Search on identify the usual life patterns of survivors and research data related to demographic structure. With the help of cultural design charrettes and gender-sensitive layouts, designers could learn about the socio-economical structure and daily life routines of the local communities. The information about socio-economic development, living conditions, and daily life can help the designer to make a suitable plan organization, structural design, and detail solutions. Another community-based approaches are making surveys with survivors and locals. Providing feedback loops through mobile surveys in disaster regions contributes positively to the design process. Surveys with survivors for feedback data to use in prototype evaluation. But surveys don't have to be conducted only after a disaster. Information obtained from surveys conducted before a disaster provides an opportunity for preliminary assessment during the design process. During the design process, architects or designers can organize meetings with survivors to evaluate each steps of designing process. Surveys conducted at every stage prevent potential major errors. They can also provide feedbacks for contributing to holistic disaster management. In community-based approaches, it is very important to make partnerships between NGOs, local authorities, governments, and universities. This ensures the broad-based adoption of the project and gives chance to use public opinion for getting more help and budget. It is possible that attention to disaster preparedness and awareness of disaster resilience may decrease over time. We must organize workshops and seminars with local communities in each decade to remind the disaster and determine the effects on survivors. Disaster caused trauma on people. As losses are remembered, depression, denial, and withdrawal from the environment are observed. Helping others and building your own home reduces the impact of trauma. Participatory design method increases the sense of belonging over survivors and reduce their stress. Outsourcing the entire construction process to professionals can be quite problematic in terms of both logistics and budget. You can identify and train volunteer participants, survivors, in the construction process to build their own shelters. This could increase the possibility of building more shelters with a low budget. As a summary and reflections of this topic, shelter planning must balance speed, safety, and sustainability. Designing with the help of digital design tools help bridge emergency response with long-term resilience and inclusion, and local materials increase dignity and feasibility.